Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Hare Krishna, everyone.
Hare Krishna.
As usual, I feel quite embarrassed after such a presentation. Today we will be reading from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 18, text number 55. Now please repeat after me. Wait, me not repeating after me? I'm not.
Something wrong with that.
Okay, so it's a bit broken here. Okay. Now repeat after me. Bhaktyamam abhijanati. Bhaktyamam abhijanati. Yavan yaschatmi tattvataha. Yavan yaschasmi tattvataha. Tato mam tattvato gyatva. Tato mam tattvato gyatva. Vishate tat anantaram. Vishate tat anantaram. Bhaktyamam abhijanati. Yavan yaschasmi tattvataha. Tato mam tattvato gyatva. Vishate tad anantaram. Bhaktya. By pure devotional service. Mam. Me. Abhijanati. One can know. Yavan. As much as. Yakcha asmi. As I am. Tattvataha. In truth. Tataha. Thereafter. Mam. Me. Tattvataha. In truth. Jnatva. Knowledge. Vishate. He enters. Tat anantaram. Thereafter. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Jai Ho. One can understand me as I am, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, only by devotional service. And when one is in full consciousness of me, by such devotion, he can enter into the kingdom of God. Once again, one can understand me as I am, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, only by devotional service. And when one is in full consciousness of me by such devotion, he can enter into the kingdom of God. Purport.
Go ahead.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, and his plenary portions cannot be understood by mental speculation, nor by the non-devotees. If anyone wants to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he has to take to pure devotional service under the guidance of a pure devotee. Otherwise, the truth of the Supreme Personality of Godhead will be hidden as already stated in Bhagavad Gita 7:25. Naham prakashak sarvasya. He is not revealed to everyone. No one can understand God simply by erudite scholarship or mental speculation. Only one who is actually engaged in Krishna consciousness and devotional service can understand what Krishna is. University degrees are not helpful. One who is fully conversant with the Krishna science becomes eligible to enter into the spiritual kingdom, the abode of Krishna. Becoming Brahman does not mean that one loses his identity. Devotional service is there, and as long as devotional service exists, there must be God, the devotee, and the process of devotional service. So again, devotional service is there, and as long as devotional service exists, therefore must be God, devotees, and the process of devotional service. Such knowledge is never vanquished, even after liberation. That's an important point. Even after liberation. Liberation involves getting free from the concept of material life. In spiritual life, the same distinction is there, the same individuality is there, but in pure Krishna consciousness. One should not mistakenly think that the word vishate, which means literally enters into me, supports the monist theory that one becomes homogeneous with the impersonal Brahman. No. Vishate means that one can enter into the abode of the spiritual Lord, and in one's individuality to engage in his association and render service unto him. For instance, a green bird enters a green tree, not to become one with the tree, but to enjoy the fruits of the tree. Impersonalists generally give the example of a river flowing into the ocean and merging. This may be a source of happiness for the impersonalist, but the personalist keeps his personal individuality like an aquatic in the ocean. We find so many living entities within the ocean if we go deep. Surface acquaintance with the ocean is not sufficient. One must have complete knowledge of the aquatics living in the ocean depth. Because of his pure devotional service, a devotee can understand the transcendental qualities and the opulence of the Supreme Lord in truth. As it is stated in the 11th chapter, only by devotional service only by devotional service can one understand. The same is confirmed here. One can understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead by devotional service and enter into his kingdom. After attainment of the Brahma Bhuta stage of freedom from material conceptions, devotional service begins by one's hearing about the Lord. When one hears about the Supreme Lord, automatically the Brahma Bhuta stage develops, and material contamination, greediness, and lust for sense enjoyment disappears. As lust and desires disappear from the heart of a devotee, he becomes more attached to the service of the Lord. And by such attachment, he becomes free from material contamination. In that state of life, he can understand the Supreme Lord. This is the statement of Srimad Bhagavatam also. After liberation, the process of bhakti or transcendental service continues. The Vedanta Sutra confirms that aparyana tatrapi hi drishtam. This means that after liberation, the process of devotional service continues. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, real devotional liberation is defined as reinstatement of the living entities in his own identity, his own constitutional position. The constitutional position is already explained. Every living entity is part and parcel, fragmental portion of the Supreme Lord. Therefore, his constitutional position is to serve. After liberation, this service is never stopped. Actual liberation is getting free from misconceptions of life. Srila Prabhupada ki Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shlakaya Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaura Bhaktarinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Thank you again everyone for coming here today. This is a very wonderful and crucial verse of Bhagavad Gita, because it establishes bhakti, loving devotional service, as means to achieve the goal. But what is the goal? And what is the goal is also stated in this verse. The goal is your devotional service to Krishna, Supreme Personality of Godhead. And it's also described and establishes the process. And the process is the relationship with Krishna, loving relationship. And what is important, that this verse addresses everyone. As Prabhupada says in this purport here, very interestingly, that Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna and his plenary portions cannot be understood by mental speculation, nor by the non-devotees. As he gives this example of this word vishate, that anantaram, like pervades me, enters me. What does that even mean? And Prabhupada, as being a true, pure devotee of the Lord, one who does understand the mood of the Lord, he says, and he translates the words, this verse very interestingly. He said, and when one is in full consciousness of me by such devotion. What does that mean to be in full consciousness of him, of the Supreme Lord? We might sit and try to logically understand the concept of God, what God is, like Almighty Personality, that basically hears all our thoughts, seeing through the walls and being present in all parts of the world, and basically omnipotent personality. And that's all true on one hand. On the other hand, no, it's not untrue. On the other hand, what's more important, what makes him God, is his personal aspect. A personal aspect means that he has his feelings, he has his own desires as a personality. So we serve here Shri Gaura Sundara, our godships, lordships. So we try and strive our best to understand their mood, to follow their mood, to be able to fully satisfy them by humbly serving them, or at least attempting to serve them. So this is a crucial point, that a pure devotee does not only understand God logically, but he understands the Lord with his heart, understand what the Lord wants from him. And that person understands the tattva, the bhakti tattva, the loving tattva, how to love Krishna. Because to love Krishna is the utmost goal of our soul, and that's also constitutional nature. And thus, as naturally, when we love someone, when we in love in someone, what happens to us? Even more than psychologists, they describe, if one is in love in someone, one naturally is full of desire to make that person happy, to do something for them, to do something as nice as possible for that person. And it's not like, pretending that having some inner egoistic desires, but it comes naturally. You want to take care, you want to protect, you want to make the life of this person full of happiness and comfort. And the same comes to love of God. But in the beginning we might not feel that urge in this love, but still we understand that we want it. And when we try practicing Krishna consciousness, we might get some credit in the beginning, that we might feel that something is there, that Krishna actually does manifest in the heart. And we can feel something that, yeah, Krishna is actually there, and he reciprocates on my humble attempts to approach him. But then Krishna says, okay, let's wait a bit, and now you have to really make an endeavor and practice, do the service. So Prabhupada explains it here this way, that in full consciousness of me by such devotion. So if one has this devotion to Krishna, then one is in full consciousness of him. Because even understanding Krishna's mood, understanding Krishna's love, makes your understanding, in parentheses, more or less complete. Because you can never have a complete understanding of Supreme Personality. And that also makes it, because usually, in this world, when we don't know something, what does it do for us? What do you feel if you don't know something? If you, for example, you want to cross a road and you don't see what is there behind the corner, what do you feel? You feel uncertainty, you feel anxiety, you are cautious whether or not I should cross this road or not. So if we have some ignorance about something, that makes us a bit anxious. And naturally for our brain, we want to make the picture, understanding of this world complete, fullkomlig in Swedish. But when there is no way to fully understand Krishna, and there is no way to fully understand Krishna, that makes us not anxious, but that makes this process a lot of fun. It's so nice that we can reveal something about Krishna all the time, throughout all the years and real years of our sweet practice. So basically, Prabhupada gives here a beautiful example of this bird, green bird, that is flying towards a tree with fruits. And that's the way how a pure devotee describes the tattva and helps us to understand Krishna. When Krishna says, entering me, what does that mean? Does that mean that we merge into Krishna? In a way, yes, but that does not mean that we lose our identity. Because that's from the real love and real reciprocation comes. When we become one, but at the same time individual personalities that love each other and reciprocate, do something for one another. And this is why the devotional service is crucial in our spiritual life. So we come here together, and we listen about the glories of pure devotional service. And in Srimad Bhagavatam, it says, Sava pumsam parod harmo, yato bhaktir adhokshaji, ahaitu kiya pratihata yayatma suprasidati. Because whenever, what is devotional service? Usually it's like simple. Service means that we do something. We do some physical action, basically perform some activity. It might be, there are some devotees there in the kitchen who cooked nice feast today, for what we are, Yes, very, very grateful. And there will be some devotees who will volunteer to clean kitchen after. There are devotees who do kirtan, who worship deities, who come together and make a beautiful synergy of this temple room when we chant together, and everyone can feel this energy. But at the same time, being in this process of purification, of spiritual path towards our goal, Krishna consciousness, we still have some identifications. And we, for example, can have a work, we can have a position in that work, CEO, or like manager, senior, software developer, whatever it might be, product manager, or a doctor, PhD, for example. And there is always a chance, that's the way how Maya works, that when we forget Krishna, then we start identifying ourselves with this position. I am the doctor, I am the PhD, I am the nurse, I am the software engineer, I am this or that. And in this way we might start being puffed up because of this, and start looking at service from a superficial point of view. So it's something that, someone else will do. Because I'm a manager, why should I just do and clean the temple room, for example? Because from an external point of view, like cleaning temple room or just floor, peeling the potato, might be just kind of seem to be a menial service. And I think, okay, menial service, I will outsource to someone else. I maybe give some donation to these people, let them do it. I will do my management work here because that's what I'm accustomed to do, and that's my nature, and that's basically who I am. But no, you're not. That's the temporary identification. And that's why Krishna says here, or Vyasadeva, it's stated in the very beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam, Savai Pumsa Parodhama, for all the mankind. So this verse doesn't distinct between various layers of society, be it like Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, outcast, whatever it can be. Savai Pumsam Parodharmo, Paradharma. What is the para, the utmost dharma for us? Yato bhaktirat vokshiji. Yataha, that dharma, that kind of activity which leads us to bhakti at hokshuji. And ultimately this service, this bhakti, it should be and should become a haituki, a pratihata. So it should be costless. There is no any reason why we do it, because it comes naturally. Because when we feel this love for Krishna, it comes natural. We cannot explain, like if you, for example, ask me, why are you doing this service? And if I can explain that rationally, it means there is no love. I just have some rational reason. But when it comes from the love, from emotion, from feeling to Krishna, it's unexplainable, it's costless, it's a haituki. That's something that should guide us ultimately, our heart. And apratihata, that service which is guided by love, becomes constant, becomes unbroken. Yes, and so it says, so that paradharma that leads us to that service. So whatever activity leads us to devotional service. But what is that activity? So basically, the activity that leads to devotional service is the devotional service. So basically, we perform that, and we do something. We listen Shastra, we listen Guru, and Guru explains. Guru has this understanding and connection with Krishna. That's the definition of Guru. And because he has this relationship and he feels love. And because he's happy because of that feeling, he wants to share that love with everyone. So when Guru shares this knowledge with us, then we naturally, at least in the beginning, we acquire this Shastriya Shraddha, this faith in that process, which is guided by Shastra. It might be some theoretical in the beginning, but at least from a bona fide Guru, we know that actually this is something that Krishna wants from us to do. And sometimes you might think like, okay, so what actually Krishna wants me to do? Maybe we can think, okay, so I have so much like talent in this area or that area, and maybe even so. Because it is said in Ishopanishad, Ishavasya Midam Savam Yat Kincha Jagatim Jagat. That basically you should use whatever is given to you and never identify yourself with that. So you basically should use whatever is given to you in devotional service. But at the same time, the ultimate goal is bhakti, that it should lead us to love. Because this, what Guru said us to do, we follow this order. And we have this faith in Guru. And when we follow his order, we perform service, then our heart becomes purified. As in this verse, in the end, Prabhupada says, as lust and desires disappear from the heart of a devotee. If that happens, he becomes more attached to the service of the Lord. But when one becomes more attached to the service of the Lord, what happens to you next? You go on serving, because this service is something that is constitutional for you as a personality, as the ultimate personality, as the soul, constitutional position of yourself. When we listen to the pastimes of Krishna in Vrindavan, or Golok Vrindavan, we know that millions of gopis, manjaris circumambulate the divine couple, Jugala Kishore. That there are circles that are kind of divided into teams. They perform various services to make their pastimes, Radha Krishna, be more joyful, so that they will be more happy in that. So they are very, very expert in all those activities. And these activities of like various types. And this is something that we are doing here. So it's not always about some complicated things. It might be even very simple things. Because, for example, we have this Bromma temple, this building. And if you think about it, how great it is that we have this property, for example. That we have this opportunity to come together and discuss these beautiful topics about Krishna, about bhakti, about how to achieve this perfection of love, the real eternal happiness. How can we practice together that? We can chant together. We can take darshan of beautiful Nitai Gaura Sundar. And they give their blessings to us, we hope. And make them happy when devotees come together. And in order to maintain that, it requires many things to do. And sometimes we think like, okay, so washing floors, like cleaning pots is just some external activity. I might have some more important things. But it says here, Savai Pungsam Parod Harmo. Parod Harmo, devotional service, is the Paradharma. There cannot be anything more sublime than this service. And this is what Lord Chaitanya himself teaches us. So you might know that on 19th of July, we will have Ratha Yatra festival here in Stockholm. Everyone is very, very welcome for that. We are hoping it will be a huge procession that will flood the whole of Stockholm in love of chanting the holy names of Jagannath and Sri Harinam. And Ratha Yatra would take place even during Lord Chaitanya. Lord Chaitanya came here to teach us how to perform service, with what attitude we should do it. And even though his followers started to assume that it's wonderful, but it's not a usual, it's an unusual personality, Lord Chaitanya. Some of them start understanding that it might be the God himself, in order to chant his name. So when there would be like this Ratha Yatra procession, Lord Chaitanya would want devotees to chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram,
Hare Hare.
But some devotees would chant Gaura, Gaura,
Gaura, Gaura,
Gaura, Gaura.
Gaura, Gaura.
And Lord Chaitanya would be very embarrassed because of that, but still he felt that urge, that love in the hearts of his devotees. And he wouldn't say like, stop changing this name, no. He would say, okay, if you want to chant my names, you just go in the end of the procession and chant there. We will chant Harinam here. But then you know that this Ratha Yatra procession ends, it starts from the Jagannath temple and it proceeds towards the Gundicha temple. And there is this beautiful famous pastime by Lord Chaitanya. When he would be engaged himself in cleaning this temple. So it shows, even though he being a sannyasi, an exalted and very, very famous personality over that time, he still was showing this example that he was cleaning this temple. And he would engage all the devotees in cleaning the temple. It's called Vimukti Marjan. And then he would see that some devotee would kind of do his service in a like not fully cautious way, but with careless way. And he would come to that devotee and say, okay, so please teach other devotees how to clean the temple. And then after hearing that and getting inspired, that devotee immediately started to do a very nice service in order to show how it would be done for others in a better way. So Lord Chaitanya was very tricky. But then it's a very good example for us to understand that this service, this Ahaituki Apratihata devotional service, is a pulse of our spiritual life. It should go like a red thread through the whole our practice. Because even though we don't have that much connection with Krishna, Krishna still has that connection with you. And basically, even though you pray to him, please engage me in devotional service. When we chant Mahamantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. So Prabhupada gave this beautiful meaning of this mantra, what we should meditate on when we chant it, even though it consists of three words, Hare, Krishna, and Rama. And Hare means Radhe. Oh, Radhe! Radhe, 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 Radhe,
Radhe, Radhe.
Hare means Radhe. And we pray, oh Krishna, oh Radha, oh Krishna, please engage us in devotional service. And when Krishna sees that we have this desire to develop love for him and to serve him, then he reciprocates. And we start feeling it. And now our practice becomes alive. That's the crucial and important idea, that our practice, our service should be conscious and should be alive. What we do is not only because someone asked us, but because it comes from the heart. Yes, there is this example that you have a hand, right? Most of you, more or less, Jeho. And the problem with the hand is that you cannot eat with the hand. Hand cannot be independent and just start eating, and because in that way, hand cannot be nourished. But in order for the hand to be nourished, what should happen? That hand should be used in getting the food. So you, for example, go to the cook and you can hold the bag, or you can deadlift with your hands, or do muscle ups to build your muscles and metabolism to improve it in order for the stomach, which is the core, to be able to digest everything. And then if the stomach works nicely, the digestion works, then hand become nourished. And this is how the soul is nourished, when it serves Radha and Krishna, when it's engaged in service. Ultimately, the soul is nourished and become happy. So thank you very much for your attention. Please do service and go to gym. Any questions or comments? Yes.
I have a question. You spoke very nicely about the devotion to Krishna. It should be from the heart. We should be conscious. But if someone or other is attracted to devotional service and sometimes feels this connection with Krishna is beautiful, but most of the time, actually, kind of the feeling is not there. So how shall one kind of relate to that state of development?
When feeling is not there, how to...
Yeah, like most of the time one feels, oh, my heart is so dry, I don't feel. But I know it's right, I know it's good to do that, but I don't feel. I don't have these feelings of love and devotion.
It might be some period, because Krishna might sometimes test us. As you know that his pastimes in Vrindavan, he would stay with his friends, cowherd boys, gopis, there for some time, until he just left Vrindavan. Almost never came back. And gopis of Vrindavan, they had that feeling of separation from Krishna. But gopis are pure devotees. They also descended there to take part in these beautiful pastimes in home of Vrindavan. Our situation is different, of course, because we didn't descend right away from spiritual world with Krishna. We've been here for quite a while in this world, and that's why we are entangled and having all those, as Prabhupada says, lust, desires, and everything that cover our heart. But at the same time, if we don't feel it, Rupa Goswami is saying, Syat Krishna Nama Charitari Sitapya Vidya. So chanting holy names might feel even bitter in a way. But for us it's not like fully, like literally bitter. We might chant here or together. It's more like we might feel some indifference. And feeling comes from where Krishna actually appears, where Krishna is present. But where is Krishna present? In which places and which activities? Shamdalal, any ideas? Yes. Yes. So when we come together, we listen about Krishna's beautiful pastimes from bona fide spiritual master, from those who have this connection. And gradually we understand Krishna more and more as a personality. And as we understand, we start feeling. Even though one starts a relationship with a girlfriend, I have that experience, I will not go into detail. then even though you can message that girl, and that girl might live in other town, other country, anywhere on this planet or on the other planet, who knows. And even though it's there, you still know and you still have feeling for that girl or that boyfriend, whoever that can be. Because you have the knowledge and you have experienced that person as a person, their qualities, their everything. And you naturally have that feeling. And you have that urge to finally meet that person. But that person is not yet here. In this way, when we listen about Krishna, we understand him as a personality more and more. And we naturally start feeling something like, oh, Krishna, I want to associate with Krishna. I want to be with him. I want to be with those who love him and who can help me to develop that love myself. So basically, in Krishna appears himself. What is different, even though that analogy might work to some extent about like girlfriend or boyfriend somewhere else, what is different from in this example is that Krishna is Nama Nami Noho, is the holy name of Krishna is not different from him. And he is also not different from his pastimes. So when devotees discuss the pastimes of Krishna, Krishna is present there himself. And this is why these pastimes are so sweet. And if we try our best to be attentive, to concentrate and to listen about them, that bhav will naturally come in due course of time. Because Krishna never leaves us. Krishna is always reciprocating, and he sees our level now, and he knows the best how to increase that feeling. Because he knows, he sees that we have this desire to have that feeling for him. And he knows that. And he knows what to do. More questions? Yes.
Just a little comment to it. When you explained nicely, it just struck me that in devotion, in Nectar of Devotion, there are described these 5 most potent processes of devotional service. Can one say that if one, maybe you can mention them for devotees, when one does them, then one comes close to Krishna actually, and that feeling arises more dominantly.
That's very true. Yeah, so when it says Parod Harmo Yato Bhaktir Yataha, which those activities, this Paradharma, which leads to devotional service. So basically, what is meant there are these 5 angas, these 5 most potent processes of devotional service. Which are those 5 processes? Yes.
Association with devotees.
Yes, association with devotees. Any other?
Shastra together, kīrtans,
Kīrtans, Shravan, listening.
deity worship,
Deity worship.
being in a holy place like this.
Yes, yes. All these processes help us to be closer to Krishna, because they are directly related to Krishna. Ultimately, as I was talking about this the other day on some other Sunday feast, that we might have a work doing something, and ultimately the idea is that all our life should be centered around Krishna, which doesn't mean that we should give up something, our job, going to the forest, vanaprastha, whatever. It means like stay wherever you are, but just put Krishna in the center, not yourself. But that's tough to do unless you perform those 5 angas of devotional service. So when devotees come together in the temple, they chant together beautifully with emotion. They perform deity worship. And what is included in deity worship? That's the crucial point. One may think that only what Mataji Lajavati is doing, like something on the altar doing arati, so that's included in the deity worship. No, it's not only that. This also included, and it's also is done by Mataji Lajavati, but the idea is that it's not only should be done by Mataji Lajavati. So Mataji Lajavati is showing us a wonderful example how to be engaged in service with the full heart. And also cleaning the temple room where Krishna walks and where Krishna dances together with devotees. That's also a crucial part of deity worship. Cooking for deities, offering their bhoga is also part of deity worship. Cleaning the kitchen, temple kitchen, is also included in deity worship. So basically doing that includes you into these 5 angas of devotional service, which like a rocket throws you into the Bhava Bhakti. And initially that helps you to survive in this world and keep the spiritual consciousness whatever you do. I think we should more or less stop here. Thank you for your attention. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki
Jai.
Srila Prabhupada ki
Jai.
Jai Gaura Premananda.
Hari Bol.
I think we might chant one round of japa.